Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm going to be doing a video that I'm a little bit late on. Most people have already posted this video for the year, but today I'm going to be talking about my 2023 most anticipated releases, most anticipated new books. So like I said, I am a little bit late on this, so a few of these have actually already come out. I think at least one of these, I think just one so far, I've actually already read. But yeah, let's talk about all the books that I'm looking forward to in 2023. So I have a pretty long list. I'll have to see at the end exactly how many I had, but of all of these, I actually currently only own one of them. And like I said, one of them I've already read. Most of these, or a lot of these actually are new to me authors, which is pretty exciting. That was a goal for me for 2023, was to read some new authors, because I do tend to stick to authors that I already know that I love. So I want to kind of broaden my horizons this year and check out some new authors, like I said. So let's get right into it. So the first book I'm going to put up here, this is the one that I have already read. If you've seen my recent vlogs, you heard me talk about this one. This is How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. I read this just last week, I think. So this is about two siblings who come together after the death of their parents. Their parents die in a car accident. Obviously both are killed, and these two estranged siblings, a brother and a sister, have to come together to go through their family home. This is the home that their parents have owned for their entire lives, so they have to go through the entire house, you know, do all the things, decide what they're going to keep, what they're going to get rid of. There's a reading of a will, and basically the premise is that this house, or the, I don't want to give too much away, but the entities, will say, inside this house don't want the house to be sold, and are looking for a little vengeance, we'll say. I didn't love this. I gave it 3 stars, I think, or might have even been 2 stars. I didn't love it. I'll put how many stars I actually ended up giving it down below. But I didn't love it. This was the second Grady Hendrix book that I have read. The first was the Southern Vampire's Guide to Southern Book Club's Guide to Vampires, or Vampire Slaying. I can never remember what the name of the book is, but that was a 5-star. Really enjoyed that one. This one, it may have been more of a me thing. I will say that this is about dolls, creepy dolls, puppets. I don't like that. Those do tend to freak me out. So that was the one good thing about this, was that there were parts where I was genuinely kind of freaked out. But I don't love dolls, so that made it hard for me to get through. I also found these two characters, these two siblings, to be very unlikable. So I didn't really care what was happening to them. And also I thought that it was just a little too long. I think a good portion, so I listened to the audiobook of this, and the audiobook was I think 12 or 14 hours long. I think it was 12 hours long. And I remember thinking at the 8-hour mark, oh, this is it, the book must be done, and then realizing that there were still 3 hours to go. So I think it could have ended a good 3 hours early. There's a point in the book where something happens and there's somewhat of a resolution, and it honestly could have just ended there. I think it continued on to add another layer of mystery, and of what's going to happen, or how has this now extended out further into the world. And I just didn't think that it was really necessary. Like I said, it could have been a full 3 hours shorter. So yeah, that was the first book that was one of my most anticipated for the year. Like I said, I have read it and didn't love it. So okay, so the second book is going to be Really Good Actually by Monica Hazy. I'll put the cover up here. So this already came out. It came out on January 17th. I obviously have not gotten to it yet, but this is about the main character, Maggie, who is 29 years old, and her life is kind of falling apart around her. She doesn't love her job. She's recently divorced after only having been married for a year and a half. And so she's at the point where she's about to turn 30. She feels like she needs to get her life together, and she's still trying to find herself, trying to figure out what she wants to do in life and with her life. And it seems like it's going to have a really good set of like supporting characters. I know it's about like her best friend and her, I don't know if it's her counselor or like someone in a support group that she talks to. And yeah, I think it's just gonna be a really good like story of like starting over, and how like divorce isn't like the end of the end of your life, and how you can still have a whole life after that, and how you can continue to like find yourself and change and develop and learn new things and love new things as you progress through life. I think so many times people think like you have to have everything figured out in your 20s, and you know, obviously that's not true. Obviously we have our whole lives to adapt and change and grow and mature, and I think this book is going to be a really good example of that, so I'm really excited for this one. Okay, so the next book is What Happened to Ruby Ramirez by Claire Jimenez. So this is a debut novel, and it comes out in March, on March 17th. This one looks really interesting. So it's kind of a mystery thriller type. This is about Ruby, who goes missing after a, I think it's a track meet, and she's never found until several years later when her sister actually sees a woman on a reality TV show who looks just like Ruby, but this woman is actually calling herself Ruthie. But the sister recognizes her from, I think it's like a birthmark or something she has on her face, and so she recognizes her and thinks that is her sister. So this book is about, Ruby's sisters, Jessica and Nina, who now go out looking for their sister and are trying to find this woman who is now calling herself Ruthie, but looks just like their sister Ruby. So I think this is going to be really good. I love books about sibling dynamics. I don't usually read a lot of books about sisters, so this will be kind of different for me. But I love a good, you know, thriller mystery, obviously, and yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. Okay, so the next book is one that I know a lot of people have been talking about. It's on like everybody's most anticipated list for this year, and that is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I'm currently reading Babel by her and absolutely loving it. So I'm really looking forward to this one. This is about two best friends who are also authors, June and Athena. Athena is very well known. She's like critically acclaimed, best-selling author, while June is not as well known, has not like reached that same notoriety. And one day Athena dies from a freak accident, which June witnesses, and June uses this opportunity to steal Athena's manuscript that she's like currently working on, a manuscript about like Chinese history and the British and French War during World War I, and how that affected like China as a nation. And so she steals this manuscript and gives it to her own like publishing company or agent or whatever it is, and posts it, you know, as her own, and allows her management to like promote her and use this like ambiguous picture where you can't really tell if she's actually Asian, if she's white, or what the case is. And so she you know, uses her best friend's manuscript, and it takes off. She ends up becoming famous. She, you know, gets all the awards, the accolades, all the stuff. And I'm not sure exactly what happens after that. I'm assuming you know, she's having to live this whole fake life. She's having to, you know, just lies on top of lies. And I'm not sure if eventually the truth comes out. I'm sure it probably does, and like the ramifications of that. And yeah, knowing R.F. Kuang's writing, I know this is probably gonna be really like hard-hitting and very like you know, commentary on using pseudonyms on you know, racism and all that stuff. So I think a few people have already read this. I don't know if ARCs are starting to go out on it or not. I don't remember if I said this comes out in May, on May 16th. But I know I've seen several people already say that they loved it, that it was amazing, and so I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, so the next book is the one book that I do already own, that is Hellbent by ᴛݴᴜ. I have the Book of the Month copy of this. It's in the other room, so I don't have it right here, but I'll put the cover up. This is another one that everybody has been talking about, especially because it was recently published on January 10th. So a lot of people have already read it. I'm waiting because I want to reread Ninth House before I move to Hellbent. So I haven't gotten to it yet. But this is and has been one of my most anticipated reads of the year, and I'm very excited to read it. I feel like most people have been giving it 4 stars. I've seen a couple 5 stars as well, so I'm really excited to get to it. This is the second book in the Alex Stern series. The first book was Ninth House, so this is obviously a continuation of Alex Galaxy's story. And yeah, I really enjoyed Ninth House. I want to say I gave it 4 stars, so I'm very excited to get into the next one. Okay, so the next book I'm very excited about. This is In the Lives of Puppets by T.J. Klune. T.J. Klune also wrote The House in the Cerulean Sea and Under the Whispering Door. The House in the Cerulean Sea was my favorite book of 2021, I think, or 2020. I don't remember which year it was, but it was my favorite book of that year. I loved that book so much. I actually need to do a reread of that one, but I haven't read Under the Whispering Door yet, but it's definitely on my list of books to read this year. T.J. Klune always writes such lovable characters, and I love the way he writes like found family, and he just takes these characters who seemingly have nothing in common and just weave their stories together so beautifully and bring them together in the most beautiful ways, and just creates these beautiful families. And so that is exactly what he's doing in this book as well. This one is actually about robots. These are 3 robots who live together in a forest. I'm not sure exactly what happens, but I know that these 3 robots and a human all live together in the forest, kind of secluded and away from others, and they are very much a family, which are all things that I love. I think T.J. Klune's books are usually more character-driven than they are plot-driven, which usually I'm more of a plot person. I want a lot of like action and fast-paced like writing. But what I actually loved like the characters in House in the Cerulean Sea. That book, the characters in that book really made the book for me. So I'm hoping that this will be more of the same. And I don't remember if I said, but this actually comes out on April 25th. Okay, so the next book is Silver Nitrate by Silvia Moreno Garcia. She is the author of Mexican Gothic, as well as Velvet Was the Night. I'm actually listening to the audiobook of Velvet Was the Night right now. I've talked about it in previous vlogs. But Silver Nitrate comes out in July, I believe. And I don't really know what this one's about, but it is like touted as being a mix of Mexican horror movies and Nazi occultism. I know it's set in Mexico City, but those 2 things are enough for me. I know that I really like Silvia Moreno's writing, and she is really good at like crafting like a really vivid world and like the environments, and really makes you feel like you're in the story and you're in whatever environment the book is set in. So I'm very excited to see how this one goes. So the next book is another one that I think a lot of people have been talking about lately, a lot of people already know about, and that is Spare by Prince Harry. I have this saved at my library, so hopefully it'll be coming through soon. This did come out on January 10th, and a lot of people have already been talking about it. So this is about his life. It's an autobiography about his life, kind of showing the like progression of not only his actual life, but like he himself, his personality and everything, how everything changed for him after the passing of his mother, Princess Diana, and then just kind of everything that happened after. I don't know much about Prince Harry other than, obviously his mom, Princess Diana, dying, his brother, and then everything, that has happened in the last few years with Meghan Markle. But obviously there's so much more in between that. And I think it'll be really interesting to hear things from his side and his point of view. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting to this one. Okay, so actually I was wrong. There is one more book that I did already read, and that is Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. I was given this as an ARC through NetGalley, so I read it at the end of January. I actually talk about it more in depth in my January wrap-up, but I really like this. I gave it 3 stars. This is about main character, I can never remember their names, but the main female character, her grandmother has recently passed, and she took over her grandmother's like lawn care business, and this is set in like wine country in like Northern California. The male main character, his family owns a vineyard. She has had a crush on him like throughout their whole childhood. They're like polar opposites. She's very much like carefree, doesn't plan anything, isn't very organized, is late to everything, whereas he's the complete opposite, very type A, very scheduled, rigid. He suffers from anxiety and OCD, and so he needs everything to be very like structured, and she's the complete opposite. And so this was really cute. I liked it. I think it did not have as much like spice as a normal Tessa Bailey book would. There was some, but it was like further late on into the book. I don't think it got to like on page like 6 until like 50 or 60% into the book. Whereas other Tessa Bailey books, there have been sex scenes like within the first chapter. So it wasn't quite as steamy as some of her other books. I do think I like It Happened One Summer more. But this was cute. There were some funny parts. I really did like the side characters. And there was a little bit of like that common thread of a romance book, of a contemporary romance, of a huge like misunderstanding. That did happen. But it was more of the two characters being like stubborn and not wanting to like confront each other, I guess, than more of like a misunderstanding. So I really appreciated that little bit of a difference. And yeah, I like this. Okay, so the next book is Happy Place by Emily Henry. Emily Henry is a super popular author right now. So I know a lot of people are looking forward to this one. I'm not sure when this one comes out. I have one Emily Henry book. I think I have Beach Read, which I think I let my mom borrow, and I haven't gone back. So, but I have her book, and I know there's several other books of hers that people really love. I haven't read any of them, so I'm really excited to get into her this year, see what the hype is about, see if it's worth the hype. And I know some people really like one book and then didn't like the other, so I'm really excited to read all three and kind of see what all the hype is about. So the next book is one that I'm very excited about, and again, I know a lot of people have been. It did just come out a couple weeks ago, I think. This is The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. This is the first book in a duology set within the same world as The Captive Prince and the Folk of the Year trilogy. I'm really excited to get into this one. Oak was always one of my favorite characters in the first series, and so I'm excited to follow his story and see what happens. I've been hearing a lot of good things. Like I said, it came out last week, I think, or the week before, and so a lot of people have already read it and have really liked it, so I am excited to get into it and continue on in this world. So the next book isn't one that I've heard a lot of people talking about, but it is The Looking Glass Sound by Catriona Awad. She's the same author who wrote The Last House on Needless Street, which I read last year. I think I read it in like November. So this one sounds really good. Sounds like it's gonna be pretty spooky, thrillery. So this is about an Arthur Wilder Harlow who lives in a cottage like on like a sea like bluff right by the sea cliffs. So very like isolated on his own, and he begins writing the first book that he's ever, the last book that he's ever going to write. And yeah, I'm not sure what else happens in it. I don't tend to read synopsis like a lot. I usually go into books blind, but I do know that much, and it sounds really good. It sounds it's gonna be creepy, obviously. I love books like where the characters are like isolated and by themselves, and the fact that he's a writer, I love that. So I'm really looking forward to that one. So the next book is Twisted by Emily McIntire. This is the 4th book in the Never After series. I actually have not read the 2nd and 3rd books yet, so I want to read those before I get to this one. This one did just come out on February 7th. The first book in the series is a Peter Pan retelling, and I believe the second one is as well. I'm not sure about the third, but this last one, Twisted, is an Aladdin retelling. So this is about Jasmine. In this book, her name is Yasmin, and her father dies and wants her, or is dying and wants, like a dying wish is to see her married, and to the man of his choosing. But she is already in love with someone, a straight rat, Aladdin, and this is just kind of the story of that. And so these are all like dark romances. The first book had a lot of violence, some gore. There was a lot of like BDSM dom sub type dynamics, and so I'm sure a lot of that will carry into this book as well. This one on Goodreads does say like reader discretion advised, so I'm assuming that it probably falls heavily into like the dark romance. areas, and yeah, I did really enjoy the first book, so I'm excited to continue on in this series. Okay, so the next book is one that I actually heard from Jordaline. I'll tag her down below. This is episode 13 by Craig Delouie. I've never read one of his books before, so I'm excited to get to it. This is a horror, like psychological thriller. This is about a cast of like ghost hunting show that goes around to different haunted locations, and kind of like a ghost adventures type show. And I'm not sure exactly what happens, but I'm assuming they go onto a location and find out that the place is really haunted, that ghosts really do exist. You know, spooky things ensue. But I'm really excited to read my first book from this author. I know Jordaline really enjoys this author, and this did just come out on January 24th, a couple weeks ago, and I have heard good things already. So I am trying to get more into like horror and psychological books, so I am glad to kind of start that. So I'm excited to dig into that genre with this book. Okay, so the next book is 0 Days by Ruth Ware. This actually comes out on my birthday this year, on June 20th. This is described as being Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the movie meets The Fugitive, which is pretty exciting. I really liked the movie Mr. and Mrs. Smith. It's about a woman named Jack and her husband, and they basically do like heists. They break into buildings and hack security systems, and are like spy type people. And one day Jack comes home to find her husband has been murdered, and it turns out that she is the police #1 suspect. So she has to go on the run and try to figure out who killed her husband, who's framing her, all that. So this is a mystery thriller, and I read The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, and that was pretty good. So I'm excited to see. That one was more like paranormal thriller, I would say, whereas this is more of a mystery thriller. So I'm excited to see kind of the differences and how Ruth Ware writes more of a thriller than a horror. So yeah. So the next book is Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo. I have read 2 of her books already. The Poet X was one of the best books that I read when it came out, I think in 2018. And then I also read With the Fire on High, which was really good. But The Poet X is still one of the best books that I've ever read. Elizabeth writes books from like the perspective of a Hispanic woman. Her stories are always centered on Hispanic families, which is very relatable to me. This is her first like adult novel. So this is about Fleur, who has a gift. She can predict to the day when someone will die. That sounds so good. So when she decides she wants a living wake, a party to bring her family and community together to celebrate the long life she led, her sisters are surprised. So she wants a wake. She's asking for a wake before she's even actually died. So she obviously must know when that is going to happen. So it seems like this is going to be a book about family, about like relationships, sisterly relationships, sibling bonds, maybe some like, you know, family, how, you know, you don't have to be blood to be family, and just the different dynamics within families, but especially within like Hispanic families. I feel like Hispanic families definitely have a different expectations, different just things that bring them together, things that make them close. I feel like the relationships within Hispanic families can also be strained and tenuous. Hispanic parents usually have very high expectations, which can cause strained relationships. So I'm excited to see kind of the dynamics of everyone. And I'm not sure if this is written in like prose the way The Poet X is, but if the writing is anything like her previous 2 books, then I know that it's going to be great. So I'm very excited for this one. This one comes out on August 1st. Okay, so the next book is going to be The Only One Left by Riley Sager. So I have read a couple of other Riley Sager books. I've read Lock Every Door and Home Before Dark. I enjoyed both. I think Lock Every Door was like 3-star, and Home Before Dark I think was a 4-star for me. I haven't read his other books, but like I said, The Only One Left comes out this year. This is going to be coming out. So this also comes out on my birthday on June 20th. This sounds really good. This is about a woman who is kind of like a healthcare worker, like a home healthcare worker, which is actually something that I used to do. I did that for a few years back in like 2013, 2014. And I worked in assisted living before as well. So it's kind of obviously relatable, kind of hits home. But this is about a woman who is assigned to, she's a young caregiver, and she's assigned to work for a woman accused of a Lizzie Borden type like massacre, like decades before. This woman is accused of hanging her own sister. She's also accused of stabbing her father and killing her mother as well. So she killed her whole family. She's accused of killing them, and now the main author has to, or the main character, Kit, is assigned to take care of her, and I'm assuming that she's going to help her either prove her innocence or kind of find out like exactly what happened. So this sounds really good. I'm excited for it. Like I said, I did enjoy both of the other books that I read by Riley Sager. This one sounds super good. So I'm hopefully, I applied for an ARC of this one on NetGalley, I believe, so hopefully I'll get it so I can read it early and see what it's all about. But I am very excited for this one. So the next one is one that I'm looking forward to, but I'm also kind of on the fence about. This is Rouge by Mona Awad. I've read and DNF'd 2 other books by her, Bunny and All's Well. Bunny I got like 40% of the way through. It was just a little bit too like out there for me. I just didn't love it. I couldn't really get into it, so I DNF'd it. And then All's Well, I actually had an ARC of that when it came out in 2021, and it just dragged on and didn't really seem like it was going anywhere. Didn't have much of like a plot, in my opinion, so I ended up DNFing that one as well. So I'm not really sure what Rouge is about. So according to Goodreads, like I said, I don't really often read synopsis before I read a book, but it says this is a horror-tinted gothic fairy tale about a lonely dress shop clerk whose mother's unexpected death sends her down a treacherous path in pursuit of youth and beauty. Can she escape her mother's fate and find a connection that is more than skin deep? So it seems like this is about a woman who is very like conceited, very into her looks, very into, says she's obsessed with her skin and skincare videos. When her estranged mother Noelle mysteriously dies, Belle finds herself back in Southern California, dealing with her mother's considerable debts and grappling with lingering questions about her death. The stakes escalate when a strange woman in red appears at the funeral, offering a tantalizing clue about her mother's demise, followed by a cryptic video about a transformative spa experience. With the help of a pair of red shoes, Belle is lured into the barbed embrace of the spa where her mother went. I can't pronounce the name. The same lavish culty spa to which her mother was devoted. There, Belle discovers the frightening secret behind her and her mother's obsession with the mirror, and the great shimmering depths and demons that lurk on the other side of the glass. So it seems like it's going to be kind of paranormal type, maybe. This says it's a Snow White meets Eyes Wide Shut, which sounds really good. Obviously it's going to be like a thriller mystery type as well. I'm sure there's going to be, like I said, some horror mixed in there. And yeah, it sounds like it's actually going to be pretty good. So hopefully maybe this will be the Mona Awad book that I end up loving. We'll have to see. This comes out on September 1st. So I'll have to wait till September to find out if this is the one book of hers that I end up loving. So the next one I'm very excited about. This is The Brothers Hawthorne by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is part of the Inheritance Games series. I am currently reading The Final Gambit right now as we speak. I just finished the book prior to that one, The Hawthorne Legacy, I think it was, like 2 weeks ago. I think that was probably in my January wrap-up as well. I love this series so much. The Hawthorne boys are some of my favorite characters. I'm really excited to see what happens. I think The Final Gambit is the last book in the actual series proper, I believe. And then the next book, The Brothers Hawthorne, is like an addition to. It's in the same world, but it's not part of the actual trilogy. And this one is from the boys' perspective. I think it's from Grayson and Jameson's perspective. So I'm really excited to see things like from their view. I think this is kind of more of like a short story within the world. But I love these characters. I love the like Clue, Knives Out type like dynamic, all the mysteries and puzzles and you know, clues and scavenger hunts and all that type of stuff. I really enjoyed this series, and I'm enjoying it as I'm reading the final Gambit, so I am excited to go back into the world again. I'm not sure if she'll continue to have more books, because this one is only from two of the brothers' perspective. I'm assuming that there'll be another one from the other two brothers. Yeah, I'm really excited for this one. This one comes out on August 29th. So the next one is Heartsopper Volume 5. I know it comes out sometime this year. I'm not sure exactly when. But I have read volumes 1 and 2, I believe. I still need to read the last two. But I love these books so much. Charlie and Nick are some of my favorite characters. I have watched the show on Netflix and loved that as well. So I'm really excited to get to continue on with the story. I obviously have a couple volumes I need to catch up on. But I'm very excited to continue on with their story. Okay, so there you have it. Those are all the books that I am looking forward to in 2023. I'm sure there'll be more as I start to hear, you know, more. But obviously, I don't know about every book coming out in 2023. So if I get up another list of several books, then maybe I'll do a part 2 of this. But yeah, I'm really excited for all of these. Hopefully, some of these I'll be able to get maybe ARCs of through NetGalley or from the publishers. And yeah, that is it for this one. Let me know down below which of these you're looking forward to. If you have any other recommendations for books coming out in 2023, I'm thinking maybe at the end of the year I'll do like a follow-up to this and talk about which of these I did read, what I thought of them, and yeah, just do a little like side-by-side comparison of how many of these I actually got to. So that is it for now. Like I said, I do have my January wrap-up. I also have like my videos on my TBRs for 2023 and all that, so I will link those down below. And as always, please leave me a comment down below, like this video, and please consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next one.